This is the weekly Roundup presented by me, Hussam Najjar, on Saturday the 18th of November. The United Nations envoy to Libya, Ghassan Salama, stated on Thursday that a UN-sponsored National Libyan Conference is going to be held next February to gather all Libyan political stakeholders without exception. In his briefing to the UN Security Council, Salama also indicated that Libya is currently suffering from financial issues and growing poverty rates, adding that this is occurring in a country that has always been a provider of assistance to other countries. Salama urged the international community to be responsible in halting the war in Libya. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister of the Presidential Council, Mohammed Siala, condemned in the strongest terms the kidnapping, murders, arrests on IDs, forced disappearance and assassinations that are being carried out by criminal groups. Siala also deplored the war crimes and crimes against humanity in El Abyar, in Benghazi, and the heinous air attack on Derna, where civilians including women and children were killed. The Libyan Red Crescent has been selected as a member of the governing board of the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies to represent the African continent. Libya was elected for a 4-year term by 111 votes during the 21st session of the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies in Antalya, Turkey, as 190 national Red Cross and Red Crescent societies from across the world were present. 3 guards were killed and 7 others wounded in a mortar attack on the headquarters of the Ministry of Interior of Presidential Council in Benghazi on the 10th of November. The Deputy Prime Minister, Faraj Gha'im, accused forces of the renegade General Khalifa Haftar of being behind the attack and gave him a 48-hour ultimatum to leave the city. In a preemptive attack, forces of Haftar seized all headquarters of Gha'im the next day. The Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Courts, ICC, Fatou Bensouda, has reiterated her call on the Commander of Dignity Operation Forces, Khalifa Haftar, to surrender Captain Mahmoud al-Warfalli to The Hague. On November the 8th, Bensouda delivered her appeal before the UN Security Council as part of the ICC's 14th report on Libya, saying al-Warfalli is still free and may have taken part in even more killings since his last arrest warrant. On November the 8th, the joint forces of Tripoli and Zintan took full control of the Warshafana region located in southwestern Tripoli, and reopened the coastal road after more than 3 years of closure by gangs responsible for many kidnap cases as well as other crimes. On November the 14th, human rights lawyers from Guernica 37 International Justice Chambers provided viable evidence to the International Criminal Court that could find the commander of the self-styled army in eastern Libya, Khalifa Haftar, facing charges in The Hague. In a press conference in The Hague, the prominent British lawyer Toby Cadman said Haftar and forces under his command are responsible for crimes including murder, torture and persecution, adding that the filing of the lawsuit at the ICC would tackle different incidents. He also presented a dossier to the ICC that included witness statements leading to the atrocities committed by forces under the command of Haftar. The Central Bank of Libya has raised a red flag over the Libyan economy, describing the country's fiscal and economic conditions as highly critical. In a press statement to a group of media figures on November the 14th, the CBL's governor, Al-Sadiq Al-Kabir, said Libya's budget accumulative deficit hit 200% of the GDP, adding that the losses due to the shutting down of oil terminals and fields reached $160 billion. He called on the executive and legislative authorities in the country to live up to their responsibilities in tackling the deteriorating Libyan economy. Kabir proposed financial, commercial and economic reforms to save the country's economy. Notorious killer of the Sa'iqa militia, Mahmoud al-Warfalli, has launched a foul-mouthed attack on the Chief of Control and Judicial Authority of the Dignity Operation Command, Aoun al-Furjani. Warfalli accused Aoun, who is a senior tribal aide to warlord Khalifa Haftar, of failure to treat the wounded Sa'iqa militants and pay off millions of dollars of debt owed by Sa'iqa to lenders. In a leaked telephone conversation, al-Warfalli threatened Aoun with dire consequences if these demands were not met. An 8-year-old boy from Benghazi has been abducted. Abdurrauf al-Ojli, who lives in Hayy Salam district, was kidnapped by an unknown group close to his home. The group later contacted his father and demanded a ransom of 2 million Libyan dinars. In a separate incident, 2 armed groups exchanged fire in the reception of the Al-Jalaa hospital in Benghazi. 1 person was reported as dead, while 2 others remain wounded. Eyewitnesses say that there was minor damage caused to the reception room. That was this week's Roundup, brought to you by the Libya Observer. For more news, visit our website at libyaobserver.ly.